Hi, everyone. I am 3 minutes late, and I really do apologize about that. I actually was just on a Zoom with three of my dear friends, and we were just coming to the end, and it just went a little bit over. So I do apologize about that, but I am grateful for everyone who is here this Sunday. It is a gorgeous Sunday here in Massachusetts, in New England, I'm in South Hamilton right now in my office. Spring is nearly here. It's like 55 degrees. The sun is shining. So I don't know how many local people are going to be on here, but maybe there's going to be people from other parts that will come on here to illuminate our Sunday Scaries. Again, illuminating the Sunday Scaries is all about us becoming more aware of what it is that is taking over our Sundays. And as you know, my big mission is illuminating the stories that bind us. And I really believe that Sunday Scaries bind us because they take away this wonderful day of rest and connection with family. Because when we are completely consumed by our Sunday Scaries, we aren't in the present moment. We are off in complete anxiety, fear, scary, overwhelm. And so my hope and my belief is that when we can get together and we can illuminate these Sunday Scaries and get to know ourselves more and what exactly it is that's taking over our systems on Sundays, we can then feel more calm and go into our weeks feeling more empowered and clear, and therefore allowing our Sundays to be a time of joy and connection. So here we are. That's what we're going to do. So I always like to begin with I'll begin with the agreements. Those of you who are here and may want to comment, which I invite with all my might that you participate and comment. I can work off of you so much more when you are here and present and commenting. So those of you who are here and want to do that, I just like to just have the agreements that this is a space of confidence. So what people, share in here stays in here to the best of its ability. And I realize that this is recorded. I know some of the comments can be hidden or deleted. So those, that may stay, but just the energy of being a safe place, a place where people can feel comfortable sharing whatever it is they wish to share. Which another component is usually non-judgment and compassion toward yourself and toward each other. That's always an element to feeling safe in a place. Definitely practicing non-judgment of any of the things that come up for you, and non-judgment for anything that is shared here. And then, of course, compassion. What else? What else do I usually? It's funny. I was like, I'm going to try to do this all for memorization, but let me just double check to just make sure I have all the components that are really important. Curiosity, willingness, openness, wonder, having fun, and trusting the process. I think so often we either judge we judge things that we haven't done before, we judge what's coming up. Really, our tendency is to avoid rather than face for many of us. So this is asking you to face. And so I invite you to be open and curious and have a sense of wonder and curiosity about whatever it is that I share and whatever it is that I invite you in exploring. There is a whole wealth of information and knowledge within you, and I'm going to be talking about that a lot. so often I can tell you what maybe would be helpful, but I am telling you there is wisdom within you that can be just as helpful. And I hope you have fun. I hope you have fun. Life can be so serious. So I hope you have fun with this work as well. I'm sitting in a different spot. I'm still in my office, but my desk is over there. This is usually where clients sit. And I'm sitting in this spot because this is where I was when I was talking to my dear friends via Zoom. There's one in St. Pete, Florida, one in Asheville, North Carolina, and one in Ashland, Oregon. So we were just meeting on Zoom to have that time together. Okay. So why am I doing this? I know I've said many times, and I even said in the beginning of this, like how passionate I am about illuminating the stories that bind us. I think many of us are living underneath stories and scaries that are not true, but they completely take over our systems and cause a lot of stress and anxiety and scaries on Sunday, right? So let me give you an example of that, a personal example of that, because that seems to have been what has helped. My story, I've shared in my podcast. If you've seen my podcast, I have a lot of stories around wanting to just be everything I can be to everyone and to be perfect in doing so. Otherwise, there's that risk of just not being loved. And so this goes way back from all the way into childhood. And I can live underneath that story. And I have. But the problem is that living in that story really ties me up. One, I was just reading or listening to Brene Brown, and she always articulates things so well. She talks about how perfection is something that's perceived, right? She distinguishes between like a strive to be better, or like a healthy motivation to be healthier and to be better. And then there's a strive for perfection. Those are very different. And the strive to perfection is very outwardly focused in the sense that, you're looking to be perfect for other people. But then that means that other people have to perceive you that way, which now we're getting into a lot of complicated moving targets because we have no control over how other people perceive us, right? But this is a story, and I know I'm not alone with this story. That's what's so beautiful about this work. When you share your story, you help illuminate it for everyone else, that the story resonates, and then therefore can help everyone else break free. So without that story illuminated, I can live my entire life spending Sundays scared, right? Just scared that I am not enough, that I have to work on overdrive to be perfect for everyone. That alone is going to cause a huge amount of angst and discomfort and outward focus, so that I'm not even in the present moment. Right? I'm not even in the present moment at that point. And not even allowing myself to just be. So this is the journey, right? This is the journey for me. You may have similar Sunday scaries. You may have other ones. And that's why in this work, I'm inviting everyone to just get clear about what your Sunday scaries may be. When we are aware of something, it's 50% of the solution. When we shine light on something, we can see it better than if it's hidden, right? You can see the sunlight on this bookshelf right now. I can see the titles far better in the sunlight than if I look at the books in the shadows, right? So illuminating something, shining light on something, it brings awareness to it. It loses its power. And that's another thing Brene Brown will say. Like, if you do not have a handle on shame and our shame stories, you better believe those stories are going to have a handle on us. So that's another reason why I do this, is trying to make sure that these stories aren't in the driver's seat. These stories aren't running your life. They can be in the car with us, but not running your life. The other thing is that, the wonderful Daniel Siegel coined, if you can name it, you can tame it. So if you can name whatever the Sunday story is, or whatever the narrative is, or whatever the belief, or whatever the scary is, then you can tame it. You have more ability to tame it. Yeah. So that is why I'm here. And I also feel it is important to help you develop skills to also know ways that you can go into this week and have an action item that will help you use whatever wisdom you get from our time together and apply it into your regular life. Because it's great during this time together for stuff to come up, but then how can you use it moving forward? So I really like to use two different tools to do this. So the first tool that I love to use is mindfulness. Those of you who know mindfulness is present moment awareness. There are many different types of mindfulness. There's meditation. And I mean, anything that you do can be infused with mindful practice, just being present with it, right? It could be eating, walking, talking, anything can be infused with mindfulness. So I try to create a space and some guided imagery and meditations that can help you become more mindful of whatever the Sunday scary is and however it's taking over your system. So I will begin with that, and I will start with a mindfulness exercise for everybody to practice. And then the second part is going to be parts work. So I feel very passionate about internal family systems and all of the lessons that it brings. And internal family systems is the idea that we are born with self energy. Self energy with a capital S includes compassion, clarity, connection, curiosity, creativity, courageousness. I've got this confidence. I don't think I've said that yet. And have I said curious? Calm is the eighth one, right? So we're all born with those qualities. And then as we go through life, we have some stressful experiences. We've got dynamics in our family of origin. We have some sort of event, and we start to create parts to help balance that all out. But sometimes these parts will work out of balance. So those parts can be protective parts. So parts that don't want to feel the pain again that we experienced. So maybe it is a perfectionist part, or maybe there's a people pleaser part. Some part that's like, hey, you know what? I don't want to feel the way I felt with that. So I'm going to now work to try and manage things so that doesn't happen again. And then there's also firefighter parts. So the firefighter parts are the parts that are like, you know what, I don't want to ever feel that way. So I'm actually going to extinguish any kind of feeling. So those are when we eat too much, we drink too much, drugs, sex, fill in the blank of something that will numb and extinguish anything. So we have those parts. I love the founder, Richard Schwartz. He says there are no bad parts, and that's his latest book, which I actually just bought. And he signed. I was at a conference in DC last week. So I did get to meet him, which was wonderful. And he really believes there are no bad parts, not even suicide, which is the ultimate firefighter. And his passion and mission in this work and training therapists to use this work is that the more we can become connected to our parts, the more we can understand our parts, the more we can get to a place of inner harmony. We can get these parts to work for us instead of against us. And so I really like to bring that wisdom into this work that I do on Sundays with all of you. So I'm going to begin again by doing just a mindfulness exercise. Grateful for everyone here. I'll guide you in it. If you feel comfortable, you can share what comes up for you. If you don't feel comfortable, I encourage you to write it in a journal that you have, and then you have it for yourself, and you will have that inner knowledge. So those of you who have never done mindfulness before, just all you need to do is just listen to the guidance of my voice. I'm going to do a lot of connecting with your breath and just kind of grounding, which that alone is something that you can take with you. That alone is something that can help calm your Sunday scaries. So even if you just take this time to do that, you will benefit. But I'm also going to guide you in some questions just so you can get more information that can hopefully help you going through the rest of your Sunday and into this week. So just beginning, whatever feels comfortable for you. If you feel comfortable closing your eyes, you can close your eyes. If you prefer to leave them open, that is fine. And the first thing I'm just going to ask you to do is connect with your breath. And just know that there isn't anything else you need to do right now but connect with your breath. So just noticing what you feel on the inhale, noticing what you feel on the exhale. And your mind may start to wander. A lot of times when we first get quiet, that's when our thoughts start to race, or physical sensations come up, or emotions come up. And if that happens, it's okay. Just bring your attention back to your breath. Our breath is this incredible tool that we always have access to help bring us to the present moment. And again, just noticing whatever it is you feel on your inhale, and whatever it is you feel on your exhale. And the more you stick with that, the more calm you may experience. But for the sake of this exercise, I want you to just take a moment and notice what you're feeling physically right now. So just noticing your physical sensations. You don't have to judge them as good or bad, right or wrong. Just notice whatever is happening for you physically right now on this Sunday afternoon. And just take note of whatever it is that you find. And next, I just want you to notice whatever emotions you're having in this moment. Are you feeling calm and happy? Or maybe you're feeling more angst and anxiety. Whatever it is, again, there's no good, bad, right, or wrong. Just notice whatever it is that you're feeling. And take note of it without any judgment. And last, but certainly not least, what thoughts are you having right now? So, what are the Sunday scaries or Sunday stories that are going through your head in this moment? Are you having thoughts about this exercise? Are you having thoughts about your week, your Sunday, whatever it is? No good, bad, right or wrong. Just notice the thoughts and take note with gentle curiosity because they will bring you really good information. Just taking a moment to connect with your breath again to kind of bring us back into this moment together. So just noticing whatever structure you're sitting on right now, bringing your energy to your feet, taking a deep breath and coming back to our time together. And those of you who are watching live right now, if you feel comfortable, just sharing what that experience was like for you, sharing whatever came up, if you feel comfortable sharing. If you did feel physical sensations, if you did feel emotions, if you noticed thoughts, whatever it is, there's no judgment and feel free to share. I usually like to wait just 1 minute because there's a delay. So if there's someone sharing, I like to just wait a minute to just make sure that it gets to me. Okay. So I know for me, I always, if I don't hear anything, I try to bring up my own stuff. It's interesting. Right now, I'm feeling super calm. I don't know if it's the space I'm holding for you or what. I do have to admit that this week, if there was any other day this week, probably since, so like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, even yesterday, if I had done this exercise, if I had stopped and looked at what I was feeling physically, I had a very interesting week where like I was feeling a lot physically. I was feeling, I don't know if any of you have ever experienced, but just kind of that like raw feeling, that feeling that like there's no protection around your heart or your gut. Don't know if the people listening right now can relate to that or have ever had that experience, but it's kind of, I was describing it to my husband as like a free fall. It kind of feels like I just jumped off of something and that like stomach dropping feeling. I had that most of the week. So that was like the physical sensation. Emotions were probably angst and anxiety, whether it was based on those physical sensations or some other things happening in my life. Those were some of the emotions. Thoughts could be different at any given time. It's funny, when I was working, when I was seeing clients, I felt less of it. But when I was dealing with some stuff outside of work, I was feeling more of it. And thoughts could be anywhere of like, what's happening? Why am I feeling this way? Which can happen a lot. Sometimes it's the judgment of our emotions that actually feeds the anxiety. So even if you are having a Sunday scary, or for me it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday scaries, you may feel like judgment towards that. And I always try to tell people that that only escalates it when you start judging emotions that you're feeling as like good or bad, or that there's something wrong with you. A lot of times that makes it worse. And then you don't want to judge the judging, because then sometimes then you're like, well, what's wrong with me? Why am I judging the emotion? So that is why I often bring it up. Like, try to meet whatever you're feeling with curiosity and compassion. Try to meet it with curiosity and compassion, because otherwise it often escalates the emotional sensation or physical sensations or thoughts. So, but even just noticing it, right? You can be aware of that. Like, oh wow, I'm really judging how I feel right now, and you know what? I have some stress in my life, and it's okay that I'm feeling some anxiety, right? Or, I do have a lot I have to do this week and a lot I have to juggle. So it's okay. And that makes me think of, so the past two Illuminating the Sunday Scaries, I was talking about Teddy's story. So Teddy was someone who offered their Sunday Scaries of health anxiety because they're currently going under cancer treatment, which, by the way, positive update is that they received a mammogram that was clear. Everything is fine. And they do not have to get another one until next year. So huge, like, applaud, and like wonderful, wonderful, wonderful feeling. And I asked Teddy, I said, so are your parts calmer? Is your anxiety and your Sunday scaries calmer because of that news? They're like a little bit, like there's a little bit, but there's still some other things like medication and the side effects of those medications that's been hard. So, um, the other thing that Teddy shared with me is that now that Teddy's getting to know this parts work, Teddy has found that they're treating the parts with much more compassion. So when they first heard of the parts work through this work, Illuminating the Sunday Scaries, they felt like they were angry with the various Sunday Scaries or the different parts that were coming up, which I'll get into a little bit more in just a moment. And they realized that if they had softer names for the parts, or met them with just gentle curiosity, asking them what they need and what's wrong. They gave an example of they were trying to fall asleep and their feet hurt and their legs hurt. And they just met the part with like, oh, I'm so sorry this is happening. How are you doing? Talk to me. And, that's always my goal. I even found actually this week, it was Monday night with a client. They had a part, and one of my protective parts came up, and I felt a lot of judgment towards this part. It's a part that often is very, like, I guess you could say, verbally abusive inside my client's mind. So a part that's like, don't do that. Why did you do that? What is wrong with you? You're never going to get it right, or, fill in the blank with that kind of messaging. And so I felt protective, and I actually came up with a name that I don't even want to repeat on here because I was feeling protective of the part. And he was like, oh, I don't know what to name it. And I was like, how about, and just insert explicitives. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. So, I loved how Teddy said it's important that we meet these parts with more gentleness and compassion, because it is important. So thank you for that, Teddy. Thank you for those things. And I'm so glad you got a clean bill of health after the mammogram. So why don't we move into some of the parts work? I always like to make that a part of it. So you gained more awareness about how you felt physically, how you felt emotionally, some of your thoughts on this Sunday. And then now I'd like to move into parts work. So again, I do very basic level parts work. This is not considered a substitute for therapy at all, just a tool that will hopefully help you. And, if anything comes up, please, I encourage you, you're welcome to use the support that I'm offering right here, right now. But I also encourage you, if there's anything that persists, to meet with your therapist or engage in any kind of therapy, or a trusted friend or family member. This is not this thing that I'm doing here on StreamYard through YouTube and Facebook is not a substitute for therapy. However, I do try to bring tools that I have known to be very helpful for me, that I believe will be helpful for you. So parts work, again, from Internal Family Systems, Dr. Richard Schwartz, is an incredible approach, as far as I'm concerned, that really helps us become self-aware of the different voices and scaries and stories that we have within our system. And so what I'm going to do is guide you in another mindfulness exercise where you may be able to name the part. So very often the part that I've shared on here that comes up for me is my scheduler part. But sometimes it is the perfectionist part. I'd say this week, when I was saying that I was having a lot of like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday scaries, I was definitely feeling it was a little bit of overwhelm. A little bit of overwhelm. As I said, I went to a conference last week, and then I came home and just didn't get a chance to reground, didn't get a chance to do laundry until this weekend. Didn't get a chance to just get some basic groceries and to clean and things like that help you feel like, I don't know about any of you. So that was just kind of the base level. And then trying to get through the week, I'm trying to get all my CEUs for my Florida license renewal. So it was a bit overwhelming. So I think that it was and I have a part that I will call overwhelmed. And I realize that a lot of our parts can be overwhelmed, but I have a part that I call overwhelmed. So in this work, when you are able to kind of tease out a certain part, for those of you listening, if you have certain symptoms that you want me to maybe help you name as a part, please feel free to share them. But the idea is that once you can kind of name them as a part, so we'll go with my overwhelm part. I guide you in an exercise where you notice what that part feels like when it hijacks your system, just so you can kind of know the physical messages and to know the signal of when that part does overcome your system or hijack your system. You then can name it. So that's what, the first is the physical. And then I invite you to do something that sounds a little bit strange, but you literally imagine taking this part out of your system and putting it at a conversation distance from you. And when you do that, you start to curiously meet with the part and ask it. You can ask it so many questions, but for the basic level work that I do in here, I ask it 2 questions. So the first question is, what is your intention and purpose in taking over my system? What is your intention and purpose in taking over my Sunday? And then the second question is, what do you need to calm down? Like, what action do you need? What words of wisdom do you need? What practice do you need? What reminder do you need? Whatever it is. And you'd be surprised what your body will tell you. So why don't we take a moment right now and trusting that all of you have an idea of what it is that's kind of taken over your Sunday. Is it an overwhelmed part? Is it a time management part? Is it a perfectionist part? Is it health anxiety? Like whatever it is, just allowing that part to come to the forefront in this space and noticing what your body feels like when that part takes over. So noticing where you feel it in your body physically, noticing anything else you can describe about the part. So once you've identified that part, I just want you in your mind's eye to imagine taking it out of your system and putting it at a conversation distance from you. So that can be kind of funny for people. People are like, what do you do? What? I mean, again, this is where I invite you to just be open-minded and willing and curious, and use your imagination. Imagination has been proven to change your brain in positive ways. So Trust the process. And I want you to imagine that this part is at a conversation distance from you. And just asking the part, um, what is your intention? Why are you taking over my system? And just listen. And maybe you want to write notes in your journal, whatever comes up. But just allowing this part to be separate, whether you see the part as a part of you specifically, or you see this part as like a cartoon character, whatever it is. Using mine as an example, my overwhelmed part is sitting across from me. And I'm just asking it, like, what is your purpose? What is your intention in taking over my system? So just gathering whatever wisdom you hear. And if anyone feels comfortable that's watching, I encourage you to just comment on whatever's coming up, and we can work with it. Maybe there's a certain part that you saw. Maybe it offered you some insight about what its intention is or purpose is in overcoming your system. Whatever it is, just sharing it. So I met with the overwhelmed part that I met with this week, and it was interesting. The answer that it gave me was that, like, it doesn't know what was going on with my body physically, and that was making it, because remember I described it as like this raw, kind of open feeling, and so it kind of mentioned that, like, it wasn't really sure what was happening, and that was alarming, and so wanted to alarm me. And then it also said the thing that I already said to you, is that, like, it's just kind of feeling, lost in space with the transition, and just wanting to feel a little bit more grounded and connected to the things that it knows will be helpful. So that was good wisdom. And that's what I got by doing this work. And I have no doubt that those of you who are doing this are also getting something. So the next thing I'm going to invite you to do is, again, connecting with your breath, connecting with the calm. You always want to approach these parts with, like, complete calm. And I want you to imagine the part again that you have that's dominating your Sunday today, causing Sunday scaries. And I want you to ask it, what practice, what words of wisdom, what song, what action item will help it calm down and help it step back so that you can enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and so that you can go into this week feeling a little bit more restful, feeling a little bit more empowered. So asking it that question, what action item do you need? What words of wisdom do you need? What reminder do you need? What practice do you need that will help you do that? So just taking a moment right now to ask that. So whatever that part gave you, whatever wisdom it gave you about what you can do, just taking note of that, writing that in your journal, and just taking note of whatever wisdom it's suggesting that you do, that will help it calm down or step back. And again, if you feel comfortable sharing it, I encourage you to share it here, and it will always help other people to hear whatever wisdom you have for your Sunday scary or your overwhelm or anxiety that you're feeling right now. When I asked what my overwhelmed part needed to help calm down and enjoy the rest of my Sunday, it brought up one that I'm sure I brought up in here before. It was like, just sit down, plan your week, make sure that you plan like ways of taking care of you this week. But just the act alone of being able to look at the week and kind of know what to expect is going to help calm my parts that get overwhelmed and nervous and anxious about everything. Does anybody want to share any of the wisdom that they got or they gained from asking their part? It's okay if you don't. It's okay if you don't. So the next part is just inviting, now that you have the action item, and just thanking the part for all of the wisdom that it shared with you, maybe reassuring the part that you're going to take that wisdom with you into your week, into the rest of your Sunday. So just taking the time to say that and let it know that. And then inviting it back into your system. So just imagining it coming back into your system, taking a deep breath to help it reintegrate into your system. Maybe you already feel a little bit lighter. Maybe you already feel a little bit empowered. I hope so. And just taking a moment and thanking yourself for the time that you invested in doing this on a Sunday afternoon. I thank all of you for being a part of this, and hope that you have gained something and are now more aware of whatever Sunday scary you may be experiencing today. And hoping that you take that wisdom with you and you feel more empowered and confident going into your week. And if you really like this idea of illuminating something that may be binding you so that you can be more empowered and be more aware, I highly encourage you to take advantage of some of my free services. So one service that I have, and I'm just going to send a link to you right now, is you are welcome to fill out a form that writes a letter to me. So you can write, and it's anonymous. It's an anonymous letter. No one knows that it was you. And you write the letter to me, and I will write you some advice back. So you just write the letter, help illuminating a story that's finding you. Maybe it's something that came up today. And then I will respond and share it on the social media networks. And hopefully that wisdom can help you break free whatever story is binding you. And then the other form that you can fill out, if you'd like, is to be on my podcast. And again, there is an option to be anonymous here where you can just, for podcast, you don't have to be seen in the podcast. You can, hopefully the link is okay. It looks like there may be a 5 at the end of the link. There is a 5 at the end of the link, and then I just wrote form for podcast. So hopefully that link's all right. And I would love, love, love to have you as a guest on my podcast. I can't tell you how much you being courageous and illuminating your story allows other people to have their stories illuminated. And then, which is kind of cool, you get a free t-shirt. And at the end of the podcast, Shannon Ward, singer songwriter and co founder of Fiercely Peaceful Productions, and I will prescribe a song for you to help you break free from whatever story may be binding you. And last but not least, I'm going to share this is a link that if you felt very moved and inspired and that this was really helpful for you today, I hope that you will maybe consider sending a donation to me. There's absolutely no pressure. I'm volunteering to do this for free. But if you feel like having an exchange feels right because you benefited from something during our time together and from the wisdom that was shared, I thank you in advance for making a donation through Square. So thank you so much for being here and for being a part of Illuminating the Sunday Scaries today. I think I'm going to wrap up now. There haven't been any open comments, so I think this feels like a good place to close. So I just want to thank everyone for being here. Thank you for your willingness to listen to Illuminating the Sunday Scaries. And I do hope there was also a willingness to try some of the exercises and that you were able to gain more awareness of the Sunday Scary, connect with it more, understand it more, and then, of course, know how to navigate it so that you can have a joyful, peaceful, restful Sunday. All right. Take good care, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.